Do you think Phil, if he makes a comeback on the Olympia stage, do you think he's still a very dangerous opponent?
Of course, Phil's he's always going to be dangerous. He's Phil's always going to be dangerous. I think when you win, when you lose like that, and this is why it's really hard for bodybuilders to make a comeback. When you take a defeat like that, it's really hard to get your mindset back into winning again. It takes a lot. It takes a lot to get your mind back. So if he can regain his composure, he can get his team to stop telling them you won. If he accepts that he lost, he'll win it. If they keep telling him that you won, he has no reason to become better if he already won. So he has to fix whatever issue it is, and he has to be the best Phil they had ever seen. Now, remind you, Brandon got better. Hadi Chupin is better. Shawn is definitely going to come back better. So the people that he's going to go against, they're not there. Those people he's going against, they're better. So Phil has to be better. Mm-hmm. But I think he has enough gas in the tank to win it. I believe that. Totally believe that.
Do you think that year 2018, because he was dealing with the stomach issues because of the hernia, right? Do you think he should have said that one out? Like, if you was training, would you give him an opinion, like don't compete that year?
No. It's on that. Those elite bodybuilders like that, they have to. If you give them a break, it has to be a really much needed break. There were things in that program that probably could have been changed, where he could have controlled his stomach better, controlled his waist better. It was basically, he thought he could get away with doing the same thing he had done before. It wasn't that Hadi made a huge mistake. Hadi did exactly what I thought he was going to do, and that just put a spotlight more on the problem. He tried to fill him up too much and fill him out, because Phil was always flat during the prejudging, but he comes back really full. But in that thing, he fills out too much, and his gut extends. So it was just basically this mix-up or faux pas, whatever you might say.
Where would you put Phil? Where would you rank him? Out of all-time, greats. Where would you put him in that category?
Oh, definitely one of the greats. I would have to put him. Well, Ronnie's number one. That's
the greatest of all time, in your opinion, Ronnie.
Of all time, no one's even close to him. Mm-hmm. He's half Michael Jordan, half LeBron. There's nobody better than Ronnie. There never be another Ronnie. So let's just put that right there. Mm-hmm. Dexter is a longevity. No one's ever going to win that many shows. He is Mr. Consistent. Mm-hmm. Those two things happen like that. So my favorite, I would have to put Ronnie Coleman at number one, mm-hmm. Flex Wheeler
number two.
Not from all the shows he won, mm-hmm. but everybody who's inspired. There's not one top bodybuilder right now that doesn't have pictures of Flex in his phone and look at them from time to time. That is the goal. That is the standard. That is what you want to achieve. So Ronnie number one, Flex number two, Dorian for his hardness number three, and then Phil right there. Phil right there, because Phil to me is actually a hybrid between Ronnie and Flex Wheeler. He's a combination of the two. Mm-hmm. If Ronnie Coleman and Flex Wheeler had a baby, it would be Phil Heath.
It's actually good that you actually put him so high on the list, because so many people discredited him for so many years. I never understood that, because to me, like he was the modern day, you know what I mean? That 7 Olympias, that takes a lot, you know what I mean? And for some reason, so many people hated on him, and I never understood why. I mean, just because they don't like him personally, but you know what I mean? Like we're talking about objectively, you know what I mean?
They didn't know him. It's like people I Phil probably thinks I hate him. I don't hate him, but I have to have some animosity towards him because I want to beat him.
Well, that's understandable,
Phil,
of course.
I want to beat him. I can't love Phil and train somebody to beat him. So, sure. But you understand, you got everybody nipping at your heels for 7 years. Mm-hmm. It's hard to walk around and be like that. Ronnie, that's why of all time, not just for his accomplishments on stage, that most of the time he won those Olympics, he had a full-time job. He's still relevant to this day. And he was able to be Ronnie and people not hate him. Or when people attacked him, he was able to put that. Everybody can't do that. So when he's getting attacked and ripped apart, of course he's going to have a little animosity towards other people. Like, I've read what you said about me, and now you're smiling in my face. Mm-hmm. It's really hard. Like Shawn, nothing affects Shawn. Like nothing affects him. Nothing you say. He doesn't raise his voice. He doesn't do that. But Dexter, he'll be mad privately, but publicly, he knows how to put on that persona that everything is okay. Phil just wasn't able to do that. It would leak out. But for 7 years, he had everybody nipping at his heels. And then if they couldn't do it on stage, they tried to do it verbally. And to me, that's disrespectful.
I think also Phil was the first champion of this generation to be like the first guy in bodybuilding that was kind of became very popular on social media too. Like Ronnie was before social media, all these guys before social media, you know what I'm saying? But he was a champion during the whole explosion of social media, like Instagram and all that. And that's when, you know, obviously in social media, people talk all the time, you know.
Right.
It's just constant.
Yeah, well, people give their opinion all the time, and you know, like that. But you know, also Phil, he looked really good. He's very charismatic. He's educated. He's well spoken. He's a really good representative of sport. But I think that some people can't handle the negativity and the pressure. They internalize it a little bit more than others, and I think sometimes that way make him, you know, feel a little like he has to retaliate or say something he shouldn't say.
What do you think about the rivalry between Phil Heath and Kai Greene? You know, they had 3 battles on Olympia stage when Kai came in second, and then Kai stopped competing after that. You know, or he wasn't given a permission to compete, whatever. But at those 3 years, how did you feel about the rivalry? And do you think, because a lot of people consider that Kai being robbed at least in one of them. Do you think that, or do you feel like Phil definitely beat him?
See, the thing about Kai, which I think he's a great bodybuilder, great entertainer, great businessman. I don't see how you can compare Kai to anybody on that stage. His body is so different than anyone on that stage. It's really hard to compare him like that. I mean, he moves like no one. He looks like no one. Everything is just different. So it's really hard to compare him. I would not want to judge Kai against anybody because he either wins or he's last. I don't see where you can place him because his body is just so different. So as far as the rivalry between the two, I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I've gone to the Olympia with a lot of top people, and with Shawn was the only time that we came back a victory. That's a long ride home when you lose. It's a long ride home. It doesn't feel good to lose that show. And it doesn't feel good to lose when that person didn't even touch you. It doesn't feel good to lose and this person basically worked harder than you and outperformed you. And everybody in that car, everybody on that plane, we're all losers. So yes, there's going to be a rivalry there. And if Kai, if he didn't see any emotion in him, he didn't really want it. You're going to be hurt. If you lose, you're going to be hurt. Like I said before, this is not like you practice football practice and you have football practice for 3 hours and you go home and, this is bodybuilding. You dedicate the whole off season and then 15 weeks, every single moment is dedicated to that show. And then you lose. And that's the best you ever looked and you still lose. That's not a good feeling. I understand the rivalry. I don't agree with it. But Kai has to feel that way to try to come back and beat him. And Phil has to have that anger to keep everybody off. You can't cut somebody's throat and say, excuse me, are you okay? When you swing the knife, you got to swing to kill. So I understand the anger. I understand the animosity. I mean, I understand when you put somebody's face on your refrigerator and, you have to, every bite is to take this guy out.
Right.
You can't be, hey, man, how you doing? How's everything? How's the wife? Hey, come over, let's play Nintendo. No, you have to try to kill this guy. So I understand the animosity. I use that in the gym with my clients.